Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a moment in your life when you realize that your greatest battles were never fought in the world around you, but deep within the corridors of your own mind. You stand at the crossroads of reaction and response, chaos and clarity. And if you do not train your mind, your emotions will do it for you, molding you into a servant of impulse rather than a master of intention. This is not a speech merely to inspire you for a fleeting hour. This is an invitation to take the reins of your life back into your own hands, to build a mind so steady that no storm of feeling can wash it away. Stay with this message to the end, for within these words is not just theory, but a path to inner freedom you can walk today. Most people believe they are thinking, when in reality they are merely being thought by the residue of old feelings and hidden fears. The mind becomes a mirror, reflecting every passing cloud, forgetting it is the sky. To train your mind, you must first see the game, the tug of war, where your rational self pulls one way and your emotions yank you back. Awareness of this struggle is itself a weapon. The moment you can see anger rising, envy bubbling, fear whispering, you are no longer fully their hostage. The watcher within you is the key. Observe. When emotion swells like a tide, stand still inside yourself. Witness its pull without letting it steer the ship. This is not cold indifference, but warm mastery. You do not kill your emotions. You learn to hear them without bowing to them. In stillness, you find power. In silence, you reclaim your center. Sit alone often. Let your mind breathe without distractions. In that space, you begin to see that thoughts come and go like birds. And you are not every bird that lands on your branch. Slowly, a gap appears between stimulus and response. That gap is your freedom. Expand it. But awareness is only the beginning. You must discipline your mind daily. Discipline is not punishment. It is remembering what you truly want. When you want calm more than chaos, focus more than drama, purpose more than distraction, you will train your mind like a craftsman sharpens his blade. Small daily practices, meditation, journaling, mindful breathing, these are weights that strengthen the mind's resolve. The energy that drives your emotions is not your enemy. Anger can become courage. Fear can become caution. Grief can become compassion. Direct your emotions like a river into a useful channel, or else they will flood your life with confusion. To train your mind is to rise above the noise, to choose your response, to be the master within the storm. Emotions will come, but they will not rule. The mind, clear, aware, and disciplined, becomes the calm eye at the center of life's hurricanes. Hmm. Hmm. Now, sit with yourself. Watch your mind. Tend to it like a garden. Let storms come and remain unmoved at your core. For in that stillness you discover a truth many spend their lives running from. Strength was never outside of you. It waited patiently within, hidden behind the noise of untamed emotions. Understanding the tug of war between the mind and emotions is like discovering that the fiercest battlefield you will ever stand upon lies within your own chest and skull. Most people drift through life unaware that every word they regret, every action they wish they could take back, every silent frustration that keeps them awake at night, all of it is a symptom of a mind that has been hijacked by untrained emotions. It is easy to blame the world, other people, bad luck, or unfair circumstances. But beneath every excuse is the same truth. When emotions run wild, the mind is dragged along like a boat without an anchor. The mind is meant to be a navigator, a compass, pointing you toward the life you consciously choose. But emotions, when untamed, can cloud the compass, spin the needle wildly, and convince you that storms are your destiny. To truly see this struggle, you must pause and look inward. There is a moment, small but powerful, when you feel anger ignite over careless words, when fear whispers that you aren't good enough, when jealousy poisons your joy at someone else's success. In that moment, if you look closely, you will see two forces at play. The emotion, raw and primal, and the mind, either asleep at the wheel or fully awake and steering. Those who never train this inner balance find themselves swinging from one mood to the next, always at the mercy of feelings they neither invited nor fully understand. One day, they are full of hope, planning their future with excitement. The next, a single harsh comment can make them crumble, abandon their plans, and doubt their worth. This is the tug of war, the constant back and forth between reason and feeling, between what you know you should do and what your moods push you to do instead. Some believe the answer is to destroy emotion altogether, to become cold, detached, immune to feeling. But this is just another extreme, another illusion. Emotions are not your enemy. They are ancient messengers, carrying signals about what matters to you, what wounds you hide, what desires you bury. Anger can signal a boundary crossed. Fear can protect you from danger. Sadness can teach you what you cherish most. But when the mind is weak, these signals become storms that blow you off course. Training the mind to be stronger than your emotions does not mean rejecting your feelings. It means building an inner strength so that feelings inform you but do not command you. It means recognizing when you are about to speak words you cannot take back and choosing silence instead. It means noticing the rising wave of panic and pausing long enough to see if that fear is real or imagined. It means acknowledging the jealousy that flares up when you compare your life to another's and then turning that energy inward to build something for yourself. Imagine two horses pulling a chariot, one wild and emotional, the other steady and rational. If the driver sleeps, the wild horse drags the chariot wherever it pleases, over cliffs, into ditches, through dark forests. But if the driver is alert, patient, and skilled, both horses pull in harmony. The wild horse lends passion and power. The steady horse lends direction. Together, they move you forward. This is how your mind and emotions can work when you recognize the tug of war for what it is. Not a battle to destroy emotion, but a training ground to harness it. This understanding must become a daily practice. When you wake each morning, ask yourself, will I let my moods decide who I am today? Or will I choose my thoughts, my actions, my responses? Small moments are where the tug of war is won or lost. In how you react to an insult, how you hold your tongue when anger flares, how you stay calm when panic wants to take the wheel. Over time, as you become more aware of this struggle, you begin to see its patterns. You see that much of what you feel is old. Echoes of childhood wounds, past betrayals, fears planted by others. You realize that some emotions don't belong to you at all. They were inherited, absorbed from parents, friends, culture. This awareness is not meant to make you cynical. It is meant to set you free. For once you see the strings, you can choose to cut them. The tug of war never truly ends. It is part of being human. But the difference between those who are dragged by their emotions and those who master them is not that the master feels less, but that they have trained their mind to hold the rope with steady hands. They do not get pulled into every fight, every drama, every storm. They watch, they listen, they choose. And in that choosing, they build a life not ruled by moods, but shaped by conscious intention. Understand this tug of war, and you unlock the first door. Behind it lies the practice, the patience, and the discipline to train your mind to be stronger than any emotion you will ever feel. Awareness is liberation, but most people live their entire lives without ever tasting this simple truth. They walk through their days reacting to life rather than responding to it. Prisoners to every fleeting emotion that sweeps through their chest. They say things in anger they later regret. They make promises in excitement they cannot keep. They surrender to fear when courage is needed most. And all of this happens not because they are weak, but because they have never been taught to watch the storm from a place untouched by it. To be aware is to step back, to see clearly what is happening inside you at the very moment it is happening. When you feel anger burning in your gut, awareness notices it. When fear clutches your chest, awareness observes its cold fingers. When envy clouds your mind, awareness sees the fog drifting in. This noticing does not instantly dissolve these feelings, but it transforms your relationship with them. Instead of being trapped inside the storm, you stand at its edge, watching it swirl. This simple shift is freedom. Most people believe freedom is doing whatever they feel in the moment. But true freedom is being able to choose a response rather than be shackled to a reaction. If someone insults you and you instantly lash back, are you free? If a sudden fear keeps you from acting on your dreams, are you free? If jealousy turns your love bitter, are you free? The answer is clear. When your emotions hold the strings, you are not living freely. You are dancing to someone else's tune. Awareness is the knife that cuts those strings. In the split second you notice an emotion rising, you create a gap, a tiny space between the feeling and what you do next. This space is everything. Within it you can pause. Within it you can breathe. Within it you can ask, is this emotion true? Is this reaction useful? What happens if I simply watch this feeling without feeding it, without fighting it? Imagine a fire burning. Awareness does not try to stamp it out with panic, nor does it throw more wood on it by indulging it. Instead, it sits beside the fire, feeling its heat, seeing its shape, and waiting for it to burn out naturally. When you are aware of anger, you do not become anger. When you are aware of fear, you are not fear itself. You become the watcher, the witness, the steady presence behind the noise. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you act with clarity. An untrained mind will say or do whatever the emotion demands in the moment, often leaving a mess behind. But a mind rooted in awareness does not fear strong feelings. It holds them like a parent holding a crying child. It listens, it comforts, but it does not let the child steer the car. This practice of awareness is not something you master in a single day. It begins in the small moments, when you notice your voice rising during an argument, when you feel impatience bubbling while you wait in traffic, when you sense anxiety creeping in before you step on stage. At first you will catch yourself only after the reaction has come and gone. But slowly the gap grows. You start to notice the feeling before the words leave your mouth, before your hands clench, before your thoughts spiral. And in that noticing, you reclaim your power. Many people run from uncomfortable emotions. They distract themselves with noise, screens, work, substances, anything to avoid feeling what is alive inside them. But the more you run, the bigger the shadows grow. Awareness asks you to stop running, to turn and face the feeling, to sit with discomfort without flinching. This sitting is the training ground of the strong mind. Each time you sit in awareness, you teach your mind, I am bigger than this feeling. I can hold it without drowning in it. With time, awareness becomes a way of living. You start to see the deeper patterns behind your feelings. You notice how a single careless comment can awaken old wounds. You see how a fear that feels enormous is often just a memory wearing a mask. You realize that what you thought was you, the anger, the envy, the sadness, is only passing weather. The sky remains untouched. In this space of clear seeing, you begin to choose your life moment by moment. You choose whether to speak or stay silent, whether to react or let things pass, whether to feed an emotion or simply watch it fade. This is not a denial of feeling, but an honoring of it, a way to let emotions visit without letting them take over the house. Awareness is not complicated, but it requires courage. Courage to be still when everything in you wants to explode. Courage to feel what hurts instead of numbing it. Courage to be honest with yourself when you'd rather hide behind stories and blame. But this courage is the seed of liberation, because once you see clearly, you can never be fooled by your own mind again. You become free, not from emotion, but from its unconscious rule, and that is where your true strength begins. Detached to regain power, a truth so simple that most people overlook it their entire lives. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your pocket every day. You grow used to its weight. You forget it is there, and when your steps feel heavy and your shoulders ache, you blame the road, the weather, the people you pass. Rarely does it occur to you to reach into your pocket, take out the stone, and simply set it down. Thoughts and emotions, when held too tightly, are like that stone. You do not realize how much they weigh you down until you learn to loosen your grip. Most people live completely fused with their thoughts and feelings. A thought appears, I'm not good enough. Instantly they believe it. A feeling rises, anger, jealousy, fear, and immediately they become it. There is no distance between the thought and the one who thinks it, no space between the feeling and the one who feels it. This is why so many find themselves tossed around by moods they cannot explain, reacting in ways they later regret, repeating the same patterns year after year. They are so identified with every passing storm inside them that they forget they are the sky in which these storms appear. It's the storms appear. Detachment is not the cold rejection of thought and emotion. It is the wise step back. It is the gentle reminder, this thought is not me. This feeling is not my entire truth. When you practice detachment, you become the witness of your inner life, not its victim. You learn to watch the angry thought arrive and leave, like a leaf floating down a river. You see the jealousy that stings your heart, but you do not let it poison your actions. You feel the fear that trembles in your belly, but you do not let it chain your dreams to the ground. To detach is to become spacious inside. It is to discover the room within you that is untouched by any passing mood. This room, pure awareness, is where your true power lives. Here, you are no longer a puppet jerked by invisible strings. You are the one who sees the strings, who holds them, who decides which ones to keep and which ones to cut. Many resist detachment because they mistake it for indifference. But there is a vast difference between numbness and clarity. Detachment does not mean you stop caring, feeling, or loving. It means you care wisely, feel deeply without drowning, love without clinging or needing to possess. A detached mind can see anger without punching walls. It can feel grief without becoming grief itself. It can acknowledge fear, yet step forward bravely. This is power. Not brute force, but calm mastery. Think of the ocean. On the surface, waves crash wildly, pulled by wind and tide. But deep below, the water is still, unmoved. Detachment trains you to live at that depth. Let the surface swirl as it will. Your roots sink into the calm beneath. Problems come and go. Praise comes and goes. Criticism, loss, joy, success. All these waves roll above. But you are anchored where none of these reach. This depth is not found in books alone. It is found in practice, moment by moment, thought by thought. When an emotion arises, pause. Name it gently. Here is anger. Here is fear. Here is sadness. Notice how this simple naming creates a gap, the first breath of detachment. In that gap, you glimpse freedom. The choice not to react blindly, the choice to respond wisely, the choice to do nothing at all. Letting the feeling pass like a cloud across a vast sky. The mind, trained in detachment, does not suppress or deny its feelings. It honors them, learns from them, but refuses to be ruled by them. It holds its thoughts lightly, knowing that what seems true in the heat of the moment often dissolves in the light of calm awareness. It does not cling to every story the mind tells, for it knows the mind is a storyteller, and not all stories deserve to be believed. This way of being takes practice. Sometimes you will fail. You will find yourself caught in anger before you remember to step back. You will be swept away by anxiety before you notice the tide pulling you out. Do not judge these moments. They are part of the training. Each time you catch yourself tangled up, you strengthen the muscle of detachment. Each time you pause to observe instead of react, you grow stronger, freer, lighter. One day, what once triggered you into rage will barely ripple your calm. What once terrified you into silence will now inspire you to speak. What once chained you to your moods will find you unshakable in your quiet strength. This is what it means to regain your power, not by force, not by denial, but by the simple, courageous act of stepping back and seeing, this is not me. I am the witness. I am the one who chooses. And in that choosing, you become master of the storms that once mastered you. The practice of stillness is not an escape from life, but a return to its deepest center. In a world that demands your constant attention, that bombards you with noise, images, and the relentless hum of urgency. Stillness can feel unnatural at first, even frightening. But beneath that discomfort lies a hidden treasure, the unshakable strength that only silence can build. Most people fear stillness because it strips away the distractions they've grown addicted to. In the silence, there is no one left to blame, nowhere left to run. Your mind turns inward and meets itself, raw, restless, full of half-buried worries, forgotten dreams, and voices you've silenced with busyness. But this is precisely why stillness is so powerful. It is a mirror you cannot hide from. It reveals the truth of who you are, beneath the roles, the masks, the endless mental chatter. And only when you see yourself clearly can you begin to train your mind to stand strong against the storms of emotion. When you sit in stillness, not scrolling, not talking, not planning, you notice how the mind squirms. Thoughts pull at you. Things to do, old regrets, future fears. Emotions drift in, boredom, anxiety, irritation. Without the usual distractions, your mind tries to escape this quiet space. But if you stay, if you breathe through the urge to move, you discover something remarkable. The storm always passes. Beneath the restless surface is a deep calm that has been there all along, waiting for you to notice. This calm is not something you create, it is something you uncover. It is the ground beneath the noise, the ocean under the waves. And every moment you spend in stillness strengthens your connection to it. You learn to watch thoughts rise and fall without grabbing them. You learn to let emotions swell and fade without clinging to their story. You discover that you are not every thought that passes through you. You are the space in which thoughts appear. You are not every emotion that shakes you. You are the presence that feels the shaking, but remains whole. In this practice, even a few minutes a day can change you. Sit in a quiet room. Feel your breath enter and leave your body. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Do not fight the wandering. Simply notice it. Over time, this simple act rewires your mind. You become familiar with your own mental habits. You see how anger comes and goes, how worry clings and dissolves, how joy flickers in unexpectedly. You see how little control you have over what thoughts appear, but how much power you have over what you do with them. And then stillness teaches you that you do not need to react to every emotion. You do not need to fix every thought. You learn to trust the wisdom that sometimes the best action is no action at all. This is not passivity, it is intelligent restraint. A mind rooted in stillness does not lash out in anger, because it has seen anger's full arc, how it arises, peaks, and fades. It does not speak harsh words it will later regret, because it has learned the value of silence. It does not panic when fear whispers its old lies, because it knows fear's voice loses power when you do not feed it with frantic thought. Solitude deepens this practice. When you step away from constant conversation, from screens, from noise, you discover how much of your emotion is a reaction to the outside world. Alone, you can hear the subtle voice within you, the one drowned out by everyone else's opinions and demands. Alone, you see which feelings are truly yours and which are echoes of other people's fears and expectations. In stillness and solitude, you remember that you do not have to be at the mercy of every wave that crashes against you. You are the deep water, not just the restless surface. You learn to respond rather than react, to listen rather than shout back, to wait for clarity rather than act in blind haste. The world may swirl with noise, but inside you there is an unmoving place, a calm that no storm can reach. This calm is not found in a single moment of quiet. It is built slowly, like a muscle. The more you return to it, the stronger it grows. Eventually, you carry it with you into the noise, into conversations, conflicts, temptations, fears. People will wonder how you stay so calm when others panic, how you remain steady when others crumble. They may think you are cold or detached, but inside you know the truth. You are rooted in a stillness they have yet to find within themselves. When the mind learns to rest in this quiet strength, emotions lose their power to dictate your actions. They come, they go, and you remain. You no longer fear your feelings. You welcome them, watch them, learn from them, but you do not obey them. In stillness, you see that you are not here to be ruled by every passing mood. You are here to master yourself, to stand unshaken, like a mountain, no matter how fierce the winds of emotion may blow. Redirecting emotional energy is a discipline that transforms chaos into creation. Most people spend their lives pushed around by their emotions. Anger erupts and burns bridges, fear whispers and locks doors, sadness floods them, and they stop moving altogether. Yet the raw force behind every emotion is not inherently bad or good. It is simply energy. And energy, when understood, can be harnessed and redirected, like water flowing through a dam, turning turbulence into power. Think of anger. Sharp, hot, explosive. Left unchecked, it destroys trust, relationships, and sometimes even lives. But what is anger really? It is a signal that something feels unjust, that a boundary has been crossed, that you are experiencing a moment where your sense of control is threatened. Instead of letting anger spill out in harsh words or reckless actions, you can train yourself to pause, hold that heat, and ask, how can I use this? Anger can become courage. The courage to stand up for yourself, to change what needs changing, to speak truths long buried under silence. Many of the greatest movements in human history were fueled by anger, redirected into determined action. The same energy that destroys can also build, if the mind learns to steer it. Fear, too, is often misunderstood. It freezes people in place, wraps its cold hands around dreams until they wither. But fear, when you listen to it without obeying it blindly, can sharpen your awareness. It can show you what you care about most. It can teach you where your edges are and where you have room to grow. Fear reminds you that you're alive, that you are standing at the threshold of something that matters. To redirect fear is to turn its whisper of, "You can't," into a challenge. "Watch me." It is to transform hesitation into preparation, self-doubt into the fuel for mastery. Then there is sadness, a heavy, aching presence that can drown ambition if left unguarded. But sadness, too, carries a hidden strength. It reveals what you love, what you have lost, what truly touches the deepest parts of you. When redirected, sadness becomes compassion for yourself, for others, for the brokenness that we all carry in some form. It can deepen your art, your words, your connections. It softens your edges and reminds you that you are human, that you feel deeply because you care deeply. Learning to channel emotional energy does not mean suppressing it. Suppression is a dam with cracks. Eventually, the pressure breaks through in unhealthy ways. Redirection is different. It is the conscious decision to move the energy elsewhere, into words, art, movement, meaningful action. Instead of bottling anger, you write the letter you need to write, not to send, but to see your truth clearly. Instead of sitting frozen in fear, you take a small step, then another, proving to yourself that you are bigger than the story fear tells. Instead of drowning in sadness, you create something, a conversation, a song, a prayer, that honors the depth of what you feel. This practice requires awareness. First, you must catch the emotion as it arises. Notice its heat, its tremor, its weight. Ask yourself, where does this want to go? How can I use it? You might be surprised by the answers. Many people discover that their best work, their clearest moments of insight, come not when they feel calm and detached, but when they harness the wild energy of emotion and aim it like an arrow at something meaningful. Redirection also means having outlets ready, healthy ones. Movement, art, writing, honest conversation, focused work. These are containers for your energy. Without outlets, the energy swirls inside you, turning into restlessness or regret. With them, you become an alchemist, turning anger into courage, fear into preparation, sadness into wisdom. Over time, this discipline changes you. Others may see you as calm, but beneath that calm is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. You feel everything fully, but you are not ruled by it. You move your emotions like a skilled musician plays an instrument, with intention, with skill, with awareness. You understand that what once felt like a curse, to feel so deeply, is actually your greatest gift. When you learn to steer its power, you stop fearing your own storms. You stand in the rain of your own emotions and smile, because you know each drop can be turned into something that serves your growth. You see anger as a call to courage, fear as an invitation to step forward, sadness as a reminder of your heart's capacity. You become unafraid of your own depths, and in that fearlessness, you find a mind strong enough to command the currents of feeling rather than drown in them. This is how you train your mind to be stronger than your emotions, not by fighting the energy within you, but by learning to guide it, transform it, and direct it toward the life you truly wish to build. The energy is already yours. The power has always been waiting. The choice is whether you let it scatter you or strengthen you. Discipline over drama. It sounds simple, yet this single principle draws the line between a life led by impulse and a life guided by purpose. So many people spend years caught in cycles of emotional chaos, not because they are weak, but because they have never learned to build daily habits that anchor the mind when storms of feeling hit. They wake each day hoping for calm, yet invite the same old noise because they do not choose discipline over the temptations of drama. Drama is seductive. It makes you feel alive for a moment. The sharp rush of anger, the heated argument, the emotional outburst, the gossip that stirs excitement in dull moments. But when the rush fades, you're left with the same emptiness, the same regrets, the same waste of precious energy that could have built something meaningful. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet. It is unglamorous. It does not offer the instant high of drama. Instead, it demands something deeper, the willingness to choose what is right over what feels good in the moment. The disciplined mind does not mean a mind without feeling. It means a mind that refuses to be enslaved by feeling. It means training yourself to pause when anger demands you shout back. It means holding your tongue when gossip invites you in. It means rising early to tend to your thoughts before the world floods you with noise. Discipline is the choice to respond rather than react, over and over, until it becomes your nature. Daily habits are the training ground for this discipline. You do not build a strong mind in moments of crisis alone. You build it in the unnoticed hours, the early mornings, when you sit quietly with your thoughts, the evenings, when you reflect instead of distracting yourself with noise, the countless moments when you choose to finish what you start rather than chase the next shiny distraction. Every small act of discipline is a thread. Alone each thread seems thin, but together they weave a net strong enough to catch you when emotions try to drag you under. Uh, Consider the simple act of morning silence, waking up before the world, before the messages and demands. In that quiet hour, you can see your mind clearly. You notice what thoughts are rising, what worries are stirring, what emotions are waiting to hijack your day. In this silence, you practice mastery. You decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which do not. You remind yourself of what matters, what you wish to build, who you wish to become. That single hour can shape the next 23. Discipline also shows itself in how you guard your attention. Drama feeds on distraction. The endless scrolling, the constant checking, the flood of shallow entertainment that scatters your mind into pieces. A disciplined mind says no. It says yes to solitude over noise, deep work over shallow chatter, meaningful connection over mindless gossip. It says yes to uncomfortable truths over comforting lies. It knows that the mind is like a garden. What you water grows, what you neglect withers. If you feed drama, it grows stronger. If you feed discipline, chaos loses its grip. There is no secret trick, only the willingness to repeat small, often boring choices until they become who you are. You do not become disciplined in an instant. You become disciplined by saying no when your feelings beg you to say yes. You become disciplined by staying silent when your pride wants you to argue. You become disciplined by returning to your work, your practice, your purpose, even when your emotions plead for distraction. And what happens then? Slowly the noise within you settles. You find you are not triggered so easily. You see anger arrive, but it does not control your tongue. You feel envy surface, but it does not poison your mind with comparison. You hear fear whisper, but you do not obey its command to shrink. You realize that every ounce of energy you once wasted on drama can now be directed into building something lasting. A project, a relationship, a life aligned with your deeper values. Discipline is not about harshness. It is about devotion. Devotion to your clarity, your purpose, your freedom from the endless tug of emotion that pulls most people in circles. It is about showing up for yourself when no one is watching. It is about choosing your future over your fleeting moods. It is about understanding that your feelings are visitors, but you are the master of the house. Those who cling to drama never taste this freedom. They remain trapped in a cycle of reaction, forever at the mercy of what others say or do. But those who choose discipline over drama discover an inner stillness that nothing can shake. They walk into the same storms as everyone else, but they are rooted. They feel the same fear, the same anger, the same sorrow, but they do not bow to them. They hold steady. They move forward. In this steadiness, you find a life that is not a series of emotional explosions and regrets, but a clear path shaped by intention. You discover that discipline, practiced daily, is the ultimate act of self-respect, a quiet rebellion against the chaos that seeks to control you. And in this rebellion, your mind stands stronger than any emotion it will ever face. Becoming the master within is not about defeating your emotions, but about understanding them so completely that they lose their power to rule you. Many believe that mastery means never feeling sadness, anger, or fear again, as if a strong mind is a mind emptied of all feeling. But a mind without emotion is not strong. It is numb. Real mastery is not numbness. It is the rare ability to feel fully, yet act wisely, to stand in the middle of an emotional storm and choose your next step with calm clarity. To become the master within is to know yourself more honestly than anyone else ever could. It is to see your hidden wounds, the moments in life that shaped you, the small betrayals that taught you to guard your heart, the fears that crouch behind your ambitions. And instead of denying these shadows, you welcome them into the light. You watch how they color your thoughts, how they whisper old stories when you try to change, how they pull you back into patterns you thought you'd outgrown. Mastery is not destroying these shadows, but learning to live beside them without letting them steer your life. Most people never reach this place because they are too busy pointing outward. They blame the world, the economy, their partner, their past. But the real battlefield is always within. Mastery demands you stop looking for enemies outside and turn your gaze inward. The fear that stops you from speaking your truth, that is yours to meet. The anger that bursts out and harms the people you love, that is yours to tame. The sadness that drags you into loneliness, that is yours to hold tenderly until it softens into wisdom. Becoming the master within is a daily, private practice. It does not announce itself with loud declarations or grand gestures. It reveals itself in small moments when you choose to pause before reacting, when you feel insulted yet refuse to fire back with equal cruelty, when you feel fear push you to hide, yet you stand your ground and speak anyway, when envy whispers poison in your mind and you catch it before it drips into your actions. This inner mastery does not happen in a week. It happens slowly, over countless tiny acts of awareness. You fail, you catch yourself, you try again. One day you wake up and realize the anger that once controlled you now passes through you like a gust of wind. The fear that once paralyzed you now feels like a gentle nudge, a reminder to pay attention, not a command to shrink. The master within knows that emotions are not the enemy, but the messengers. Anger tells you where you feel powerless. Fear tells you where you care deeply. Jealousy shows you where you are not living up to your own potential. The master listens but does not obey blindly. The master asks, "What is this feeling asking of me? What can I learn? What action, if any, will honor this energy without letting it ruin my peace?" This does not mean you become passive or emotionless, quite the opposite. Mastery sharpens your ability to feel, but you feel with purpose. You turn anger into courage. You turn fear into preparation. You turn sadness into empathy. Your emotions become tools rather than chains. You use them to build a life that is real and strong, not a life that topples every time a storm arrives. Becoming the master within also means taking responsibility for your own peace. It means no longer giving others the keys to your mood, no longer letting a careless word ruin your day or a broken promise poison your trust in yourself. You stop waiting for others to apologize before you release your resentment. You stop expecting the world to become gentle before you decide to be calm. You claim your mind as your own territory, no longer open to invasion by every passing mood or careless opinion. This is the quiet power that confuses the world. Others will wonder how you remain so steady when life shakes them to their core. They may mistake your calm for coldness, But inside, you know your heart has never been more alive. You feel deeply, perhaps more deeply than ever before, but your feet stay planted on solid ground. You choose your responses like a craftsman chooses the right tool for the job. You waste no time in petty wars. You do not rush to defend your ego at every perceived slight. You have nothing to prove because you know exactly who you are and who you are not. Becoming the master within is not about building walls to keep emotion out. It is about becoming so rooted in your own awareness, so familiar with your inner storms, that no feeling can sweep you away. You stand where you are, clear and calm, and life's noise passes through you without pulling you from your path. This is the mind trained to be stronger than emotion, not unfeeling but unruled, not armored but awake. A mind like this becomes a sanctuary in a chaotic world, a calm eye in every storm. And that sanctuary, that eye of calm, is not given to you by anyone else. It is built by your own hands, shaped by your daily choices, and protected by your unwavering commitment to be master of yourself before all else. When you reach the end of this path, or rather, when you stand firmly on it day after day, you begin to see that the true victory was never about erasing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It was about finally seeing them for what they are. Visitors, guides, raw energies flowing through you, but never meant to own you. You see that the mind, when awake and disciplined, can hold space for every storm without being torn apart by it. You see that you have a choice in every moment, to react blindly or to respond wisely, to feed the chaos or to remain anchored in stillness. The mind, trained to be stronger than emotion, is not made of stone. It is alive, supple, aware. It feels deeply but does not break easily. It bends without shattering, watches without clinging, acts with intention instead of impulse. It knows drama is cheap and discipline is freedom. It knows stillness is not empty but full of wisdom. It knows that mastery does not happen once and stay forever. It is something you recommit to every morning when you open your eyes and remember who you truly are beneath the noise. The greatest power you will ever hold is not over other people or the world around you. It is over yourself. To sit with your anger without letting it destroy what you love. To stand with your fear without letting it steal what you dream. To walk beside your sadness without letting it drown your will to rise again. This is the quiet strength that changes lives from the inside out. Hold this understanding close. The storms will come, the emotions will rise and fall as they always have. But you are no longer just the passenger. You are the steady captain, hand on the wheel, eyes on the horizon, aware, awake, and unshakable. And in that calm mastery, you are free.